This content is presented solely for educational purposes. It does not promote, glorify, or encourage any form of illegal activity. All names, events, and organizations referenced are based on publicly available records and open source research. Viewer discretion is advised due to the sensitive nature of the subject matter. The birth of a new era, East Los Angeles in the late 1970s. During the mid to late 1970s, East Los Angeles experienced a cultural transformation that left a lasting impact on the community. Known as the Stoner Era, this period saw many older, traditional Cholo neighborhoods lose momentum. Most veteran members were either incarcerated, relocated seeking safer lives for their families, or had become tecatos, heroin users, a lifestyle the younger generation found deeply unappealing. A new generation emerged, distancing itself from the lifestyles of its predecessors. They gravitated toward the stoner culture, favoring parties, drinking, and experimenting with lighter substances like cannabis, alcohol, pills, and PCP, deliberately steering clear of heroin after witnessing its devastating effects firsthand. In 1977, on a spacious hillside behind Van Pelt Street near City Terrace Park and Gifford Street, a new group took root. Locals called this area the Lott. Here, the original, the Lott Stoners. 13 gang, later known as the Lott X3 Sureños or TLS-13, was born. The rise of the Lott, expansion, influence, and territory. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, the Lott Stoners rapidly grew into a dominant force among East Los Angeles youth. Unlike other neighborhoods, their ranks swelled with young, energetic members eager for camaraderie and identity. At its peak, the Lott Stoners 13 counted over 120 active members at a time when few other groups could claim such numbers. Their original territory was extensive, encompassing the hills above City Terrace Park, with borders running from Gage Avenue in the west, home to rivals like Gage Boys and Folsom Street Locos, to the 710 freeway in the east. The southern edge was Brooklyn Avenue, now Cesar Chavez, and the northern border was City Terrace Avenue, where Slows 13 resided. The main hangout became the heart of the neighborhood where Brannock and Blanchard Streets meet, a location that remains significant today. Every Friday night, as many as 40 to 60 members would gather to party in the hills above the 710 freeway, a tradition that fostered unity and expanded their influence. The gang established additional hangouts at Hamel Street, Fisher Street, Bonnie Beach Place, Record Street, Blanchard Street, and Alma Street in Boyle Heights. Their stronghold at the Lott on Brannock Street became synonymous with the group's identity. The Stoner Era and early rivalries. In the early days, the Lott Stoners' primary adversaries were other local stoner crews: Hole Stoners, High Time Stoners, Rascals 13, Gage Boys, Folsom Street Locos, FTW Stoners, Crazy Stoners, Hicks Boys, Humphrey Stoners, and Stoners 13 Locos. The conflicts with these groups typically played out in fistfights, puros trancazos, at schools like Belvedere Junior High and Garfield High, or local gathering spots such as East LA Skill Center. Notably, this was a period when old-school rules prevailed, and disputes were generally settled without weapons, in direct confrontations. However, as time passed and the group matured, some members inevitably gravitated toward more serious illicit activity, such as unauthorized distribution of controlled substances, grand theft auto, and petty theft. From stoners to Cholo Barrio, the evolution of the Lott 13. By the early to mid-1980s, the landscape in East Los Angeles had shifted once more. Increased law enforcement activity, community outreach, and a series of tragedies had reduced violence, but also paved the way for a new breed of gangs. Many of the stoner gangs, including the Lott, gradually adopted the traditional Cholo style, complete with tattoos bearing TLS X3 or Lott X3, signaling their transition into a recognized barrio. As the years went by, some original members fell victim to violence or incarceration. Notable early losses included Frankie, Pablo, and Toker. Despite these setbacks, the gang solidified its presence and reputation, becoming a traditional street gang by the mid to late 1980s. The 1980s and 1990s, alliances, rivalries, and the Sureño identity. The late 1980s marked a pivotal turning point. Old barrios in East Los Angeles began recruiting stoner gangs and new tagging crews. Many former rivals were absorbed into the Maravilla neighborhoods. Hole Stoners joined El Hoyo Maravilla. Humphrey Stoners joined Lopez Maravilla. Some moved to the Lott 13. High Time Stoners became High Times Maravilla. Rascals 13 became Rascals Maravilla. Gage Boys and Folsom Street Locos merged under Gage Maravilla or Maravilla Rifa. Stoners 13 Locos remained independent. This period also saw the emergence of a significant rivalry between the Lott and the Maravilla gangs, especially after the 1993 Green Light Edict from a major prison-based organization. This edict escalated tensions between Sureño gangs like the Lott and all Maravilla sets, leading to heightened internal disputes and organized confrontations. Despite these challenges, the Lott X3 gang remained resilient, maintaining its status as a prominent player on the East Los Angeles scene. Structure and cliques, the Lott X3 today. The Lott 13 is known by several monikers: the Lott Stoners, TLS, Barrio Lott, the Lott Boys, or simply the Lott 13. Their slogan, "Living on the Top," reflects both their origin and their enduring identity. Major cliques include Locos LCS, Chicos, Dukes, Tiny Insane Criminals, TIKs, Tiny Dukes, Diablos DBS, Los Boys, Locas, Homegirls and Baby Locas, Geographic Spread Hoods. Original Hood, East Los Angeles, Lado Viejo City Terrace, home to the Locos, Chicos, TIK, and Diablos. Second Hood, East Los Angeles, Montebello border, home to the Dukes, Tiny Dukes, and Lost Boys. Third Hood, northeastern Huntington Park, bordering Maywood, predominantly home to TIK, with visits from other cliques. The Lott X3's influence extends beyond their original neighborhood, with each clique representing a piece of the group's legacy and evolution. Notable incidents and law enforcement response. The 1990s and early 2000s were marked by intense scrutiny from law enforcement. Increased police presence, community efforts, and a series of high-profile incidents resulted in a shrinking membership, with many former members incarcerated or caught up in legal proceedings. On the evening of June 17, 1996, in East Los Angeles, 7 men gathered at the Jimenez brothers' residence at 835 North Cordova Avenue, a territory claimed by the Lopez Maravilla organization. Among them were Jose Gutierrez, Juan Pablo Rocha, siblings Mario, Juan, and Horacio Jimenez, and guests Jose Alberto Rodriguez and Hector Ricardo Gonzalez Martinez. As they worked on a vehicle in the driveway, a rival member approached and discharged 2 rounds from a high-powered rifle. Both Rodriguez and Gonzalez Martinez died instantly from single projectiles. Investigators soon linked the attack to a member of the rival Lott Stoners 13 group, identifiable by Lott 13 tattoos on his neck and by trial on the back of his head. The prosecution's case rested on 2 pillars: eyewitness identifications and testimony about a confession, both of which unraveled under cross-examination. Eyewitness evidence. Juan Rocha steadfastly identified the defendant as the shooter, having first picked his image from a photo lineup and later from a live display in custody. Horacio Jimenez initially selected the photograph and confirmed it in person, insisting he was 100% sure. Yet, at trial he recanted, claiming fear had silenced him in court and admitting that he based his choice on others' comments and the visible tattoo. Mario Jimenez also pointed to the defendant in a photographic array as the person who looked most like the shooter, but at trial acknowledged he was influenced by rumors and could not recall his sources. Jose Gutierrez mirrored this pattern. After selecting the same photograph and live lineup identification citing street gossip and the tattoo, he later disavowed any clear memory of the assailant, testifying that he had not gotten a good view. In all, 6 of the 7 witnesses either withdrew or questioned their earlier identifications by the time of trial, citing intimidation, memory failure, or gang-related pressures. Alleged confession. Fellow Lott Stoners. 13 associate Homero Cardenas provided a taped statement claiming the defendant admitted the crime. At trial, Cardenas vacillated, first denying the admission, then affirming it under redirect, and finally labeling that testimony itself a lie. Forensic and expert testimony. Police recovered a .22-23 caliber rifle hidden beneath a nearby property used by Lott Stoners 13 for weapon storage. Ballistic analysis tied the casings at the Jimenez home to this weapon. Crucially, none of the 7 men present that night were affiliated with any group at the time. Only Gutierrez joined Lopez Maravilla afterward. Sergeant Al Garcia, called as a specialist on East Los Angeles organizations, explained that territorial boundaries, known as turf, ignite frequent confrontations between groups like Lopez Maravilla and Lott Stoners 13. He described a culture of intimidation where witnesses risk retaliation for aiding law enforcement, regardless of whether they testify against rivals or their own associates. In his experience, members rarely falsely implicate fellow affiliates in serious crimes. The 2002 East Los Angeles attack and the tragic disappearance of Brenda Sierra. On October 7, 2002, a meticulously planned incident unfolded in East Los Angeles, culminating in a failed attack, an arrest, and the heartbreaking disappearance of a teenager. That afternoon, an individual identified only as Garcia drove a black Ford Explorer, accompanied by reputed gang shot caller George Trooper Barraza. Their first stop was Schur High School, where they picked up 17-year-old Lucio Ramirez and 14-year-old Saul Herrera. Under Barraza's command, Garcia conducted a reconnaissance mission near 1018 Leonard Avenue, a known rival gang territory where they spotted a member of the Stoners gang named Arciniga. Barraza then contacted fellow shot caller Juan Snaps Cervantes and Cervantes' juvenile cousin, Eddie Chavira, summoning them to a nearby Jack in the Box parking lot. There, Cervantes instructed Ramirez and Chavira on handling semi-automatic weapons. Armed with a .22 caliber handgun and a 9mm semi-automatic, Ramirez and Chavira entered Garcia's SUV, while Barraza and Cervantes followed in a separate vehicle to monitor the operation. At Leonard Avenue, Ramirez and Chavira exited the vehicle roughly 26 feet from Arciniega. Ramirez attempted to fire his weapon but found the safety engaged, resulting in no discharge. Chavira fired several rounds, none of which hit the target. The two then fled back to the SUV where Herrera and Garcia waited. Garcia sped away, unaware that neighbor Luis Mendoza, riding a motorcycle, was pursuing them and flagged down a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. Deputy Angela Contreras and her team intercepted the vehicle, detaining all 4 occupants. During the search, officers recovered the loaded firearms. Subsequent booking photos confirmed Garcia as the driver. Eyewitness accounts supported this sequence. Jesus Rios saw the SUV circling the neighborhood before the confrontation, and Jaime Sierra, standing on his porch, witnessed Ramirez and Chavira fleeing with weapons and later identified them in court. 11 days later, on October 18, 2002, 15-year-old Brenda Sierra disappeared while walking to school in East Los Angeles, triggering a complex investigation that would extend over a decade. Her case exemplifies the challenges law enforcement faces in gang-related crimes and the lasting trauma inflicted on families and communities. Background and initial incident. Brenda Sierra, a sophomore at Schur High School, left home early intending to walk 5 blocks to a friend's house before heading to school together. She never arrived at her friend's home. That evening, after her absence was noticed, a missing persons report was filed. Tragically, her body was found the following day in the San Bernardino National Forest's Valley of Enchantment. Authorities determined that Brenda died from blunt force trauma to the head, although specific details about her injuries were not publicly disclosed. Investigators later established that Brenda had been abducted near Whittier Boulevard and Leonard Avenue, an area known for gang activity. Reports suggest she was taken to a local gang hangout in East Los Angeles, where she was sexually assaulted before being fatally beaten and her body discarded in the forest. Gang connection and motive. Law enforcement, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, suspected Brenda was targeted as retaliation. Approximately 10 days prior to her disappearance, her brother testified as a witness in a gang-related shooting case, placing the family at risk. Brenda's abduction was believed to be an act of intimidation or revenge by members of the Living on the Top Lot street gang. At trial, Lucio Ramirez testified in detail. He confirmed that George Barraza and Juan Cervantes led the Diablos clique of the Lott gang. Ramirez and Herrera had recently joined, and Chavira was considered a mid-level operative. Ramirez described the meeting at Jack in the Box, where Barraza gave explicit orders. "We're going to come back and smoke 'em," meaning to eliminate their rival. He also recounted how Barraza instructed Cervantes to show them how to use the weapon and directed Garcia to position the vehicle for a quick escape. Saul Herrera, testifying at age 14, corroborated Ramirez's account about searching for Stoners members, the weapons handoff, and the attempted attack. Though Herrera stayed in the vehicle, his involvement earned him stripes within the gang. To avoid harsher punishment, Herrera pled guilty to assault with a firearm, acknowledging he faced potential violent retribution if he refused. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Detective Robert Gray, called as an expert witness, explained the Lott gang's organizational tactics. He described how experienced shot callers like Barraza and Cervantes used juvenile drivers and adolescent operatives to evade law enforcement detection while conducting organized confrontations. Gray noted that a passenger who neither handled weapons nor actively signaled might be a passive witness rather than an accomplice. Ramirez, Herrera, and Chavira were ultimately convicted of assault with a firearm and received similar sentences. Garcia faced accessory charges but was identified as a willing participant, driving the attack team and maintaining communication with Barraza during the event. Herrera later left the gang after surviving several attempts on his life and was relocated with his family under protective custody. Investigation developments and arrests. Several suspects linked to the case were confirmed gang members. Originally investigated by San Bernardino County authorities, the case was transferred in December 2009 to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, a strategic move due to the proximity to East Los Angeles and access to federal grants enabling advanced DNA analysis. Advancements in technology and investigative resources over the years spurred renewed efforts, including a $150,000 reward in 2009 to encourage public cooperation. Brenda's sister, Fabiola Saavedra, expressed cautious hope for justice. On July 29, 2015, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced charges against 3 men and 1 woman linked to Brenda Sierra's murder. Eddie Chavira, DOB 2485, Daniel Cervantes, DOB 31280, George Barraza, DOB 32880, Rosemary Chavira, DOB 387. Prosecutors revealed that while incarcerated for an unrelated manslaughter conviction, Eddie Chavira had conspired to intimidate or harm witnesses. He enlisted his sister, Rosemary Chavira, to recruit other gang members for these threats, targeting Brenda Sierra specifically. Rosemary Chavira, Daniel Cervantes, and George Barraza faced charges including murder, conspiracy to dissuade a witness, and forcible rape. Special circumstances included felony murder during kidnapping and acts to further gang interests. Eddie Chavira faced separate charges for murder and witness intimidation conspiracy. Rosemary Chavira pleaded not guilty and faced life imprisonment without parole due to her juvenile status at the time. Eddie Chavira faced 25 years to life if convicted. The prosecution had not decided whether to seek the death penalty for Cervantes and Barraza, the latter remaining a fugitive believed to have fled to Mexico. Additional suspects were reportedly in custody or pending charges, though their identities were withheld.
10 years after the kidnap and murder of a local teenager, investigators are now looking for 3 men considered persons of interest. Brenda Sierra was 15 years old when she was kidnapped while walking to school in Montebello. Her body was found the next day in the mountains near Crestline. Today, L.A. County Sheriff's detectives released pictures of 3 men, all persons of interest in Sierra's murder. Her family is certain that somebody knows something.
Time to speak out. If they couldn't help then, they could help now. It's been 10 years. It's too many years to wait for justice.
George Barraza's alleged connection to the case was not revealed. The other men are described as gang members who frequented the area where the teen was abducted.
Nearly a decade since 15-year-old Brenda Sierra was found dead after disappearing on her way to school. Despite intense efforts to find her killer, the case ran cold until now. Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin joins us live from Monterey Park, where deputies just announced new clues in this case. Robert.
Yeah, we're talking about a murder that happened in October of 2002, but today investigators released information saying that they have new details about this case, and we're also learning more about the murder of this young girl. Investigators say that an East LA street gang was trying to intimidate the community, so they picked a good person in the community to pay the price. She was only 15 years old. She was on her way to her high school in East LA when she was snatched off the street and murdered.
This essentially is in retaliation for the community's cooperation with law enforcement.
At a news conference at LA County Sheriff's headquarters today, investigators talked about new leads in the murder of Brenda Sierra, specifically these 2 composite sketches showing 2 men who might know something about the murder, which happened in October of 2002. And then there's George Barraza, a known gang member and fugitive who's also wanted in questioning with the murder.
Because new witnesses have come forward, investigators were able to develop this. In the past, we've sought help from the community, and help has come forward.
Brenda's mother and sister attended the news conference and pleaded for the public's help in solving the case.
And I promised my sister when I was burying her that I will not stop until I brought justice to her. And I will continue to strive to bring justice to her.
Investigators say an East LA street gang was trying to warn the community about cooperating with law enforcement, so they used Brenda to send a message.
She was an innocent victim, had nothing to do with it.
The teenager's body was found 1 day after she was kidnapped in Crestline in San Bernardino County. 10 years have passed since the murder, but investigators are hoping someone knows something about these men, and they're hoping that someone is willing to talk.
Somebody said something, and somebody knows exactly what happened, and that's what we're looking for here.
Detectives say they also have DNA evidence that they're hoping will provide more leads in this case. And they're also looking for two women who might have been involved in the initial kidnapping of Brenda. Of course, anyone with information on this case is urged to call homicide detectives at the Sheriff's Department at the number 323-890-5500. Reporting live from Monterey Park, Robert Olguin, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Robert, thank you.
Culture, influence, and contemporary status. Throughout its history, the Lott X3 adapted to changing cultural and criminal landscapes. While the group never disappeared entirely, its influence today is less pronounced than during its peak decades. The Lott X3 continues to operate in parts of East Los Angeles, maintaining traditions dating back nearly half a century. The Lott X3 also aligned with the broader Sureño movement, pledging allegiance to the Mexican mafia while in the California state prison system. This alliance offered both protection and introduced new rivalries. Rivals: Lopez Maravilla, East LA 13, El Hoyo Maravilla, High Times Maravilla, Gage Maravilla, Rascals Maravilla, Maravilla Rifa. Social and community impact. The Lott X3 Sureños represents more than gang history. It reflects the complex interplay of youth culture, identity, and community dynamics in East Los Angeles. From origins rooted in camaraderie and resistance to failed legacies, to evolving street culture, the group's story mirrors broader narratives of resilience and challenge. Law enforcement, community organizations, and residents continue to shape this trajectory, highlighting the ongoing efforts to understand and address these social dynamics.